You can almost always tell a pro vocal mix by the way they treat the top end. Air and brightness are critical to get right, so you have a nice top end shine without getting amateurish, cheap sounding high end. Over the next couple minutes, I'll show you exactly how to do it and how to make better decisions about the high end of your vocals. High end is one of those things that your ear really likes at first and then quickly tunes out. You can make something super bright and really like it, and then after a couple minutes of listening to it, your ear will kind of trick you into thinking it's not quite as bright as it really is. And that makes it a little bit dangerous when you're mixing. So it's important when you're mixing and making decisions about high end to do these two things. Number one, try to get it right the first time. Now that sounds a little obvious, but the point is when you're making decisions about your high end, be very intentional about it. Reference commercial mixes and try to get your high end to sound about right with those. That way you'll save yourself from down the line just having something that's overly bright that you just kind of tricked your ear into thinking it sounds better. And number two, take a break, let your ears rest, and come back to it with a fresh perspective. This is going to help you hear it for the first time again, and you'll be able to make better decisions about if something is too bright because your ears won't have already been so used to hearing it over and over again. So those are just a couple general tips, but let's get specific to vocals. There's really two types of high end that you have to worry about with vocals. There's bright and airy. Bright is a little bit lower frequency and it's a little bit more of a focused high, where air is kind of those sizzly, breathy kind of frequencies. And getting the balance right between those two for your genre and your mix is what's really important. So let's just take a listen to it in a mix. We're gonna push it really far just to kind of hear the differences between these two different types of high end.
Visceral, it's physical, I like to know it's good. On your side, let's cross the line, I like to think I could be. Visceral, it's physical, I like to know it's good. On your side, let's cross the line, I like to think I could be bad if I wanna be.
Now, some genres just need a little bit of high, they don't need any air. Other genres might use a little bit more air and not quite as much highs. The best way to decide is just listening to commercial reference mixes that you like and trying to match the high end of those mixes. Now for a track like this, I would generally push a little bit more of the highs here to keep it very focused and bright, but I would just tuck in a little bit of air. Now it's easy to go overboard with air. We don't want to push it so far that it starts to sound overly airy, overly breathy. We just want a little bit to lift it up.
Visceral, it's physical, I like to know it's good. On your side, let's cross the line, I like to think I could be. Visceral, it's physical, I like to know it's good. On your side, let's cross the line, I like to think I could be.
So you can hear, even with those little boosts, we're getting a big lift in the highs. Now here's a tip I recommend to anybody who's using Xvox or Xvox Pro, and that is push up the sliders pretty far and take a listen to each of the different modes. You can see how drastically each of these different modes curves look.
Visceral, it's physical, I like to know it's good. On your side, let's cross the line, I like to think I could be bad if I wanna be bad if you wanted me.
So you can hear modern is very crisp, clear is very clear, it's very natural sounding in the highs. Vintage is very warm, it's got a very warm air sense to it. And then NYC is super pristine sounding. And Shaper is just kind of an overall natural lift. But the nice thing about Shaper is it's not going to get hissy sounding. So you can push it really far without getting that hissy high end sound.
Visceral, it's physical, I like to know it's good. On your side, let's cross the line, I like to think I could be.
So try pushing up the slider more than you might actually use. Dial in the right mode that you like, and then once you find the one that you want, you can just kind of tug it back in to taste. So focus on this in your next mix. Try to make decisions that make your vocals pleasantly bright and airy without going too far. Of course, different genres will have wildly different expectations of what a vocal should sound like, so make sure you're referencing good commercial reference mixes. And no matter what tone you want to go for, whether it's warm and dark or bright and airy, you can get there with Xvox or Xvox Pro. So try this out in your next session.